Alright everyone, let's talk about cheap electric bikes. I've recently gotten my first one and I have been down the rabbit hole figuring out which one to get next. But since I've spent so much time researching, watching reviews, etc., I thought it might be nice to make a video for everyone else. Unfortunately, electric bikes have been getting more and more expensive recently. In the USA, tariffs raised prices around the middle of the year. For the EU, prices were actually falling a bit through most of the year. But recently, that trend has also been reversed, and we are seeing prices rise here as well. This has led me and many others to look for cheaper alternatives on Alibaba, where you can order straight from the producers. But the options there are countless, and prices even there have been going up. That being said, they're still cheaper than if you decide to purchase them in the EU or the USA. But there are countless options on Alibaba, and many people simply do not have the time or the patience to browse and read endlessly through the website. So in this video I will show you what the best cheap electric bikes are, separated in the two current most popular types among riders: cruisers and dirt bikes. I will also show you how to defend yourself from Alibaba's not so honest actors and pure scammers. Now, this won't be a 100% defense, but it would lower the chances of you getting robbed greatly. In fact, this is where we will be starting. When you search for a certain model on Alibaba, let's say the Kugu Wish 02, after the search, the first thing you need to do is filter sellers by verified. This is important. It is not a bulletproof solution, but it will remove a huge chunk of the scam offers from the website, like the one I'm showing on the screen right now. Now, this is in my currency, but these guys are claiming they are selling a brand new Suron Light B for $952. As you can see from the picture, the bike is not a Suron, it isn't even a mid-drive bike like the Light B. You can clearly see its hub motor in the middle of the back wheel. Also, I seriously doubt they would even send you the bike in the pictures if you ordered it. The price is just simply too low. This is just to show you how these unverified seller product profiles look. There is always gonna be something off. Too low of a price, different product picture, sneakiness in the naming of the product. So just click verified so you can at least filter them out. Now, towards the second problem, unfortunately this one is sometimes done even by verified legit sellers: the transport prices. Notice that I'm not calling it a scam, as it isn't necessarily one. It can be, but not always. What I'm talking about is shipping costs. You will see shipping costs varying wildly. Sometimes the cost will be higher than the entire bike. Here I will show you two examples from verified sellers. The Ridstar Q20 is the first one, a famous classic cruiser style e-bike. I'm going to be converting the prices in dollars here, but they are almost the same in euros as well. The price of this bike is $1,199. The shipping price is $300 to Europe. Not at all bad. You get this wonderful bike, duo batteries, and both a front and back wheel hub motors for around $1,500. And they even show you the shipping cost, while some sellers hide it. Now, there is a caveat here, but I will talk about it when we get to reviewing and talking about the actual bikes. Now, let's move to the second seller, where you will notice something very different. Here we are at the UXI 2000 GT page, and immediately, even without me converting the currency, you guys probably noticed that the sample price is double the original price of the bike. And in fact, we are not even sure if there are no further shipping costs to be added. This is very much a verified seller, and there are two reasons why they do this. Either the seller wants to present a low price so that they can appear more attractive on the Alibaba search, after which they crank out the regular price of the bike through artificially heightened shipping cost. or they simply don't want to sell to regular retail customers and are there in Alibaba looking for distributors, not consumers. That is why it is difficult to call this a scam, as sometimes we can't know when they're being mischievous or simply don't want to deal with sending single units. So whenever you see a high shipping cost, run away. Either they don't want you as a customer or they are rinsing your wallet just for profit margins. Now, most sellers won't even have shipping costs listed. You will have to figure them out through inquiring about the product and chatting with one of their representatives. Nothing scary there, but if you ask them for a shipping price and they tell you something ludicrous, just look for a different seller or bike altogether. Now, my final advice to when purchasing from Alibaba, actually this one is good for whenever you are purchasing anything expensive from Amazon, AliExpress, Temu, etc. Always film the box, and then opening it, also film whatever documents are attached to it. Just film everything when it arrives. If somehow, through all your defenses, you do get scammed, happens to the best of us, this is usually your greatest proof for these websites. Now, hopefully you will not experience this, but just keep it in the back of your mind if you ever have suspicions. Also, this advice, like I mentioned, is not just for bikes, it's for anything expensive you're buying from any platform. This specific bike is one that I have had my eye on for a long while. It is not a new bike, but it is a sturdy classic that many riders can vouch for. Extremely well built and durable. Also, you will notice that the parts used to build these bikes are used in many other similar models. The 20 by 4 inch tires, the two 20 amp hour batteries, the rear hub motor, as well as the headlights and tail lights are absolute standard, and you can find replacements everywhere, from official distributors to unofficial ones. This is a highly underrated quality, as you will never have to worry about parts for your bike going out of production. But this is just the start of the positives of the Ritz-Star Q20. While this is an older model, the company constantly upgrades it. One of the biggest pluses I can say for it is the placement of the two batteries. Very often in these bikes you will see a second battery hanging on the bottom of the frame with no support. But Ritz-Star have placed both of their batteries on top of the frame, providing great support for when you're going through bumps and potholes. This significantly lowers the risk of the battery getting loose and flying off your bike as you're doing a wheelie or going over rough terrain. This is just the start of the Q20's upgrades. The entire system of the bike is now 52 volts. In this cruiser e-bike sphere, the standard is 48. Apart from that, they added a second motor on the front wheel. From what I have been able to gather from the reviews and websites, both of these motors are 1000 watts with a peak of 1500 watts. The combination with the battery in these two motors makes the Ritz-Star have better top speed and higher acceleration. And the range is insane, about 70 miles or 110 kilometers per charge, fully autonomous, no pedaling. This is a huge deal, because upgrading this type of e-bikes to a higher voltage or motor means changing the entire system. Controller, motor, battery, it almost means buying a new bike. So it is great to see a company upgrading their cruiser bikes like this. But one of the biggest pluses for the Ritz-Star is the attached accessories they give you. And at this point, I'm going to put up my own e-bike, the Riding Times Z8, on the screen. I bought it 6 months ago. Right now it is around 620 miles or around 1000 kilometers. You will notice that I have side mirrors, bags, etc. All of these things I bought and added on my own, as well as new brakes. Now, to be fair to Riding Times, the world of e-bikes moves fast, and 6 months is a lot. But you will notice that the Ritz-Star Q20 comes with side mirrors, bags, and front blinkers in the package. No need to buy them separately. This is very rare. You will notice that a lot of e-bikes, whether dirt bikes or cruisers, do not add front signal lights. I feel this is so great for Ritz-Star to do, as You can always remove them if you want to, but they are there just in case you're going on the streets in the middle of crossroads and high traffic. The side mirrors are a nice touch as well. And finally, one other big thing I have to mention about this bike is the fact that you can switch between a single motor drive or a dual motor drive. This gives your e-bike the capability to preserve battery when you need it to, but also to be extremely versatile for different types of terrain. Now, as far as weight, here is something that I haven't been able to confirm. On the official website, it claims to be 88 pounds, which is around 40 kilograms. Yet in my research, I've seen 101 pounds or 46 kilograms. And I tend to believe them. As you saw earlier, I have a similar cruiser e-bike with a single battery and a single back wheel hub motor. I cannot believe that a bike with two batteries and two motors weighs the same as my single battery, single motor moped style e-bike. These are very heavy components. So as far as how much this bike weighs currently in its newest model, I don't know. There is conflicting stats on all retailers. My conclusion on the Ritstar Q20 is this. Like I said in the beginning, this is the bike that I'm looking to upgrade to. But if you remember when we were talking about shipping, I said that there is a caveat with this bike. Like I mentioned, I kinda have been falling asleep reading and searching e-bike offers on Alibaba. And this bike, like many others, has been going up in price. Only in December you could buy it with shipping for around $1,350, but today with shipping it is around $1,500. However, with the dual motors allowing you to switch how you use them, the dual 52-volt 20Ah batteries and their correct placement that surpass many other moped-style cruiser e-bikes, the insane durability and availability of parts and accessories in the package, the Ritstar Q20 is still one of the best in the class and certainly worth your consideration. Next cruiser bike, the Alfa Romeo 2 Pro. Now, this is a very difficult bike to consider. In many ways, it is the opposite of the Ritstar Q20. It is a more expensive bike that comes with a lot of customization. The biggest thing you're probably noting is the battery. This giant beast is 60 amp hours battery, again with 52 volts like the Ritstar. It has two motors as well, front and back wheel. This is a bike that I'm very hesitant to put on this list, yet it is so unique that it deserves a spot. By all e-bike laws, this is a weird one. It certainly is one of the most unique bikes I have on this list. From suspension to battery to the entire frame of the bike, everything is unique. Stats, going by the official distributors and producers' information, are off the charts. But while this bike presents an incredible bang for your buck, there are some pitfalls. Let's talk stats. Just like the Ritstar, the Alfa Romeo Pro 2 comes with a 52-volt battery. But here we get even bigger capacity at 60 amp hours compared to the 40 of the Q20. Apart from that, we get custom adjustable suspension, longer range and bigger wheels. But the price is also higher. And while so far I have given you all the positives, it is time to give you the negatives. Unlike any other bike, Ritstar or riding times that use interchangeable parts, the Romeo 2 is one of a class. If your unique 60 amp hour battery breaks, it would be very difficult to replace it. Your tires would also be 26 by 4 inch rather than the standard 20 by 4, meaning even tire replacement might be a difficulty. This all being said, it is still an impressive bike that sports around 80 to 90 miles in autonomous mode, no pedal assist, and a max speed of 46 miles per hour or 74 kilometers per hour. There are sellers that advertise up to 4000 watt power on the motors, but it would really depend what part of the world you are in and what regulations you are under. As a side note, I implore you guys to check these things for any bike I talk about, not just the Romeo. As a whole, this is probably one of the most unique and high-grade bikes for its class on this list. However, it has questions about longevity and part replaceability. And one other huge question it has, and that Iahora really need to correct, is how close the seat is to the back tire. Even from the images, I am guessing you guys can see the problem. Due to the non-standard 26-inch tires and the frame design, the seat can actually hit the rear tire and bumper. Even if you're not heavy, this would be a problem for off-road terrain and for bigger people even on regular streets. Another thing you should keep in mind is that due to its weird frame and massive weight, the 3000 watt model weighs around 150 pounds or 68 kilograms. Many reviewers I've watched seem to have a problem with its balance. Currently, the Iahora Romeo 2 Pro is priced at about $2,000 with shipping from Alibaba. It is important to note that unlike the Ridstar Q20, the price of this bike has been going down. Make of that what you will. Alright, time for our final bike for the cruiser division. Sorry guys, I lied a little bit here. The final bike is actually two bikes. They both have an appearance of a dirt bike. I'm talking about the Oxy GT 2000 and the Riding Times GT 73. Maybe you are wondering, why are these two dirt bike looking rides in the best cheap cruiser bike category instead of the dirt e-bike category? Well, they're simply not what they look like. For all intents and purposes, these two have the exact frames and look the same as a dirt bike, but share the voltage and motor of a normal cruiser bike. Why am I putting them together at the same spot? Well, they have very slight advantages over each other while being extremely similar. First of all, they do have slightly higher rear hub motor power than the previous bikes. The Riding Times GT73 sports a 2000 peak watt engine with a 36 amp hour battery. The Uxie sports the same wattage with a 30 amp hour battery. The Uxie comes with front blinkers and a price at around $1,000. The Riding Times costs less, $900, and comes with the ability, for quite a bit of money, to transform it into a snow bike. In any case, these are not dirt bikes, they're both cruisers. Here I would like to point out that while I have seen many people test the GT73, I have never seen people test their snow bike conversion, and I have very little to vouch whether it is actually working, durable and good. One last thing, just like most cruiser bikes, these two operate at 48 volts. The first dirt bikes I want to talk about are Kugu, specifically the Wish 02 Pro and the Wish 04. In a lot of places in the West, you will see these bikes listed as rear hub motorbikes, but they are actually mid-drive motors. The confusion stems from the fact that there is simply very little information about them in the West. Most of the info I managed to gather from reviews comes from Eastern European countries. Kugu aren't a completely unknown brand in the West, however, here they are famous for e-scooters, not e-dirt bikes. In fact, if you go to their official websites for the EU and USA, you will notice the complete lack of the Wish series. Let's now talk bikes themselves, not the brands. Well, they look absolutely stunning. With the bright orange and black coloring, it is ridiculously cool to me. Let's take a dive into the Wish 02 Pro. Do you remember my complaints earlier in this video about batteries hanging from bike frames? Well, if you have to do it, this is the way. This bike has a casing that actually tucks in and provides support for this massive heavy battery. Props to Kugu, simple but effective. Apart from that, this is a 60 volt system with a 27 amp hour battery. The mid-drive motor is 2500 watts with a peak of 4000 watts. It relies on oil disc brakes. One thing I will say is that the suspension looks far less than what you would expect. However, this bike would come to you at a total of $1,700. There is no doubt that this is a bargain. Now let's talk about its brother, the Kugu Wish 04. This beast comes with the same kind of coloring, the same general aesthetic, but with a lot more under the hood. The motor now jumps to 3700 watts, with a peak of 5700 watts. The battery jumps to 36 amp hours from 27. The suspension, however, this is the same as the Zero 2 Pro. This is a very basic, mass-produced suspension. Unfortunately, this is where the cut costs for this bike are. However, the Zero 2 Pro will cost about $1,700 from Alibaba with shipping, and the Zero 4 costs about $2,100. Compared to the price of normal electric dirt bikes, Kugu manages to deliver a lot for your money. Time for our next bike and final one of the video. We're talking about an interesting one that popped up on my radar fairly recently, the Hezo D5. Now you might be asking yourself, what is a rear wheel hub motorbike doing in the best cheap dirt bike section? And to that I respond, there are some bikes that look like dirt bikes but are actually cruisers, and then there are some cruiser looking bikes that are actually sleepers. The Hezo D5 has significant power with a 60-volt system and a 3000 watt motor with a peak of 4300 watts. But this is not where it ends. This bike has an amazing 43 miles per hour or 70 kilometers per hour top speed and a massive 35 amp hour battery that gives it a maximum of 60 miles or 96 kilometers per charge range. This all comes to you for the total price of $2,000. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. This is not really an e-bike channel, but more of a I'm total geek and nerd channel, and I usually do videos about whatever interests me currently. You might see 3D printing, deep space pictures, and indie games here. Honestly, whatever I'm nerding out over currently. In any case, thank you very much for watching, have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you in the next video.